You're watching Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
A gorgeous day in Atlanta, Georgia. The only way to waste it is to come inside the Georgia Dome, because inside, the #1 team in the country, the Florida Gators, set in Game 1. Tennessee had to beat South Carolina to get here. And now, their bonus, the #1 team in the country and the Player of the Year in the SEC.
We got style, yeah, we got faith, and I believe there'll be better days. We might die, but never fade, taking on to the others.
Pull-up jump shot. Got it.
I will survive.
McCray on the other end. The kick out. Scotty takes a three and got it.
Keep it on, we keep it on.
And we welcome you to the 2014 SEC Basketball Tournament in Atlanta. It'll be a packed house all afternoon for semifinals Saturday at the Georgia Dome. The teams involved today in Game 1, the Florida Gators against the Tennessee Volunteers. And this is the third time this year these two teams will get together. Florida obviously won the previous two. How did they get here? Here's the brackets for the tournament. Florida had kind of a slow start yesterday, then rolled on Missouri. Tennessee, a big winner over South Carolina. Kentucky got it rolling against LSU last night, and Georgia by 2 over Ole Miss. So Kentucky and Georgia later today, but at hand right now, the top seed and the #1 team in the country, the Gators of Florida. Welcome to Atlanta, everybody. Brad Nestle with Jimmy Dykes. Partner, I just mentioned, against Missouri, kind of a slow roll for the Gators. But then somehow, as they've done all season long in the midst of a 24-game winning streak, they just grind on you until they can pull out a victory.
Yeah, my trust factor with the Florida Gators is as high as any team in college basketball, Brad. I've said it all season long. They have 4 really cool seniors that get it, and defensively they're a juggernaut. 5 guys play as one, and what does Billy Donovan always do out of his man or his zone? He will trap the life out of you, and they're a very good, hard, aggressive trapping team. They do not foul when they trap, and they allow guys to shoot the gap. Once they do that, then they become, I think, as hungry but #1 seed as I've seen in a long time. They play with a great deal of urgency, a great deal of desire, a great deal of passion, and it's all led by that cool senior class.
You know, we're talking about winning streak, 24 straight for Florida. Haven't lost since way back in December. Tennessee, we saw their winning streak start in the regular season. It's reached 5 games. It's not only reached 5 games, they haven't trailed in any of those 5 games. And you talk about defense, they know how to smother it a little bit too.
I don't think there's a hotter defensive team in the country right now than the Tennessee Volunteers over the last 5 ball games. And when your best offensive player, Jordan McCray in the red circle, is also becoming your best defensive player, the long arm of the law and the reach and the length that Tennessee can throw at you at all 5 spots at times is hard to handle. Not only can they rip and run to the other end, but then we know Jordan McCray with a long wingspan can make hard shots in transition. This is a Tennessee program that has prided itself on being a hashtag tougher breed. They will be a tough out for the #1 team in the country.
They got a coach that never smiles. That's how tough they are. With all that in mind, let's take a look at our one-on-one brought to you by Mazda.
Well, we're going to start with, I think, 2 keys to the game for the Tennessee Volunteers. They have to handle the Florida press. You know it's coming, and you're going to have to handle it and then get shooters loose on the back end. And also, if you're Tennessee, tag the 3-point shooters of Florida. I'm talking about Frazier and Wilbekin. You can't let them get loose. For the Florida Gators, Test, Barton, and Thompson. The point guard spot is a question mark for the Volunteers. I expect Florida to light that spot up. Florida also has to be, Brad, great on their second shot defense. The reason why Jarnell Stokes and Maimon may be the best 1-2 offensive rebounding combo that we have in the college game.
As they have the starting lineups being introduced at the Georgia Dome. Tennessee in their gray and orange. Florida in the white trimmed in orange and blue. And the starting lineups for Tennessee, also in the Jumbotron for everybody here at the Georgia Dome. 3 seniors, 2 juniors. Antonio Barton, Jordan McCray, Josh Richardson, Jerron Maimon, and Jarnell Stokes, who had a huge double-double again yesterday. For the #1 team in the country, the Florida Gators, as you look through Doug Shiles' head, you'll see part of it, and then you'll see 4 seniors. Scotty Wilbekin, Casey Prather, Will You Get, Patrick Young, and Michael Frazier, the sharpshooter, the sophomore. Speaking of shooting sharp, Shannon Spake is the 3rd member of our team.
Well, Brad, Scotty Wilbekin admitted to me today that because there was so much pressure to remain undefeated in conference play, after they wrapped up their regular season last Saturday, the team took a deep breath and they relaxed a little bit. But they didn't relax for long. They came together as a group and they talked about what they needed to do moving forward to refocus. And Billy Donovan said that would be the biggest challenge, looking ahead, not looking looking back. And how's this for a visual reminder? Their SEC championship trophy, which they received yesterday, is still here in Atlanta. It's currently sitting in the hotel room on the floor of a manager of the team next to an ironing board. Scotty Wilbekin told me, Donovan said, let it be a reminder of everything you accomplished in the regular season, but also a reminder that you haven't won anything in the postseason yet.
Might also want to put that trophy by the ironing board because they have a very effective press. And we'll see that today against Tennessee.
On top of his game early, Brad Nessler.
Tennessee hasn't trailed in 200 minutes. Our officials, Joe Lindsay, Pat Adams, Doug Shows, who you saw the back of his head, our lead official. Semifinal Saturday's underway. Here we go. And it's Antonio Barton at the point. Jerron Mayman had a big day yesterday on the boards. Stokes to Barton. They work it around the perimeter of McCray. They double team Stokes down low. 10 to shoot. And he lost it off his foot.
You know it's coming, Billy Donovan. What does he do? He's always the aggressor defensively, Brad. And the first Stokes touch, they come with a monster action. He has 3 different ways to trap the ball off the block.
3-time SEC Coach of the Year, including this year, when Florida basically swept the awards. Billy in his 18th season. Seems unreal that that's the case, but it is. Off the Frazier miss. Mayman with a rebound, and they'll leave it for McCray.
There's that long arm of the law that Jordan McCray can throw at Frazier and bother his shot with hand action around his head.
You're getting young. Every time one of the big guys for Tennessee gets it so far, they draw a double team.
Well, Tennessee laying the wood early to Florida in terms of how they're setting screens, setting the rules of how this game's going to be played on their end of the floor.
Wasn't a bad runner off the window, just didn't drop. Frazier on the outside. There's a double team on Yeget. Now he comes out to set a screen. Patrick Young leaves it for Prather. 2-0 Florida.
Good hard cut by Prather. He's a score off of 2 bounces or less. And terrific patience by Patrick Young on the low block to wait on the cut.
So it was 201 minutes and 30 seconds that Tennessee has led in ball games. That's gone by the boards.
Can they play from behind? That's what we're getting ready to find out.
2 downs, not bad. McCray straight up with it on the baseline. Tie ball game.
I like what Conzo Martin does with Jordan McCray. Wilbekin's a terrific defender. McCray has about a 4-inch height advantage. Put him on that low block and let him go to work.
Yeget flies in and got the roll.
Florida drives the ball this year off of their action. Over the past, they've thrown it inside off their action, or they've reversed the ball to 3-point shots. This year, option 1A is drive the ball and make tough twos.
Florida with a little 2-man backcourt pressure. Tennessee had no trouble with it. McCray around a pick. Jumper off the mark, and Prather's going to let it go out of bounds to Florida. Conzo Martin in his 3rd year. And another 20-plus win season. 21-11 coming in.
They locked up an NCAA bid yesterday. Now a win today would move them from a 10 or 11 seed maybe up a line. That's what's at stake for Tennessee in this ball game.
Florida turns it over. They had some early turnover problems yesterday against Missouri. Nice drive inside by Mayman, and he draws a foul and 1.
The play by Antonio Barton is crucial in this ball game for Tennessee. About 4 weeks ago, they made it mandatory 10 a.m. sessions with Antonio Barton with the coaching staff for about an hour, teaching him to be a point guard, play under control, teach the free throw line as a yield sign. It is not a stop sign. Treat the free throw line as a yield sign. Read the traffic. The traffic determines what you do with the basketball. Well done by Barton.
And well done by Mayman, who caps off the 3-point play. And Tennessee has its first lead.
I would love to play against a point guard that treats the free throw line like a stop sign. He's guarding himself if he does.
Wilbekin will try a 3. Wow. He lit it up yesterday, 5 for 6, and he starts the same way today.
How crucial is that 3-point jump shot for Wilbekin this year? Another weapon to go along with Frazier. And that was one of the question marks on this Florida ball club about 6 weeks ago. Could they make enough threes? Scotty Wilbekin, what do you need, coach? I've got it in my back pocket.
They had enough yesterday. 12, in fact. 12 of 21 from three-point range. That's how they beat Missouri.
Billy Donovan, if his grandmother played on a basketball team, he would press her. That's who he is. You know, for the next 2 hours, Barton and McCray, Richardson, the press is going to come.
Stokes will try to drive. Puts it up on the run. Rebound. Comes off to Walker. Chris Walker in the lineup early today.
There you see the value of Walker. Just got eligible in February.
Scotty Wilbekin a little heat check. And he checks right. Back-to-back shots. 5 points for Wilbekin. Martin's going to try to answer. It'll come all the way out to Maimon and a fresh shot clock for Tennessee.
Tennessee has to be terrific, Brad. When to punch and when to pull it back. And it's all in the hands of Barton for the most part on those decisions.
And we're going to have a foul on Florida. With 15:48 remaining in the first half. Scotty Wilbekin, who just picked up that foul, picked up the last 5 points for Florida. And they lead 9-5.
ESPN College Basketball on ABC. Brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
Back at the Georgia Dome, the SEC on ESPN. And the SEC basketball tournament. Scotty Wilbekin had 21 points the last time these two teams got together. Jimmy's off to that kind of start again today.
I think he's the best point guard in college basketball, and he plays the game with a great base and balance. Look at his feet. When he sticks that to go shoot, you could draw a straight line across his toes. Now, why is that important? Nothing done in basketball, off balance or off base, is done as well if you're not a strong base player. You watch Wilbekin play this game. As a defender, strong wide base. As a checkoff guy on the defensive glass, he can take out a 6'10" kid because he plays with a strong wide base, and on offense, he can get into you. He's hard to guard. 3 things that make him terrific.
Florida now in the zone as McCray trying to shoot him out of it. And the rebound kept alive by Moore. Armani Moore works baseline. Nice move. I think Finney Smith got a piece of it, but cleaning up is Jarnell Stokes, as he does so often.
Best set of paws in college basketball in traffic around the rim, Jarnell Stokes. Carves out space with his lower body, finishes off plays with velvet paws.
Yesterday, Jarnell, 22 points, 15 rebounds. Just another day at the office for him. His 19th double-double of the year. Wilbekin got his man in the air. And Florida works it down under the 10-second mark on the shot clock. Finney Smith, hook pass. They're going to have to hurry. Frazier just had to throw it up there. It did hit the rim, but that's about it.
A good defensive discipline by McCray to not leave his feet. Got on his toes, but still the long arms of McCray bothering Frazier early.
That wasn't good awareness by Florida with the shot clock. Martin, nice drive.
Boy, Florida thrives off of driving the ball down the pipe, and normally defensively they are so locked in on letting you do it. Barton that time goes downhill.
And Florida turns it over again. McCray with a steal and trying to go coast to coast. Does. Nice move by Jordan McCray.
His long arms as a defender and his ability to finish around the rim, Brad, in traffic. This is a 6'6" kid with a long wingspan on both ends of the floor.
Finney Smith gave up a three-pointer. Now Wilbekin will try 2. He's 3 for 3.
Boy, sticking tough twos. That's a shot that goes in, I don't know, 26, 27% of the time. When you go back and grade all your films on the year as a coaching staff, Scotty Wilbekin hot early.
Good opening 6 minutes plus in Atlanta. King James will headline ABC's NBA Sunday Showcase coming up tomorrow, 3:30. Atlanta native Dwight Howard and the Rockets take on LeBron James and the Heat. All starts with NBA Countdown presented by Speed Stick Gear at 3 o'clock. great start here. Tied at 11 between the number 4 seed and the number 1 seed, Tennessee and Florida.
Florida's going to really try to light up Thompson, the slender freshman point guard on the floor right now. Can he handle it? And
wow.
he did.
Handled the pass inside to Maimon beautifully. If that's not, it's not on Patrick Young, and that's good news for Florida. It's going to be on Finney Smith.
Yeah, just a little bit of help with Thompson to free him up off the pressure. But then the one thing that this Thompson kid has going for him against Florida is he is a legit 6'4" point guard that can make plays over the top of Hill and Wilbekin.
Tennessee's got in Stokes and Maimon guys that can muscle around with Patrick Young. In fact, they're both bigger as far as body weight, if you will. And the reason I said Patrick Young, you don't want to get your second foul. The second time these two teams played in the regular season, Patrick fouled out, and he doesn't foul out often. Stokes will sit now, so that takes away some of the big man power inside for Tennessee. And Patrick Young, the aforementioned, gets the rebound.
Yep. Man-to-man so far by Tennessee. They do have a 1-3-1 that they've gone to the last month. That's very effective because of their length.
Prather, that's his game. Too strong off the glass. Good rebound. Underneath by Derek Reese. It's a different looking lineup right now for the Volunteers, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is a grinded out offensive unit that Conzo Martin has on the floor.
Armani Moore. Kennesaw, Georgia native, knocks one down.
Remember yesterday, Florida had some trouble guarding the ball early in the first half against the big physical guards of Missouri. Starting to continue today so far.
Yeah, they had a little trouble with Brown and Clarkson and Reese in that group. And a whistle on the inside. And the foul's going to be on Prather.
Tennessee's too good. They're too good defensively to try to drive the ball off the first side of the floor. And Florida's too experienced of a team to try to do it. Prather, a senior, bad decision. You got to get Tennessee moving side to side. Ball reversal for a driving team is at a premium. Billy Donovan didn't get it on that trip.
Josh Richardson, great job of holding his ground. Tennessee on a 9-2 push right now to lead by 3.
And this time the Florida pressure gets into Thompson. Didn't play low enough. Played too tall as a 6'4" point guard against the pressure. He's going to have to drop his waist in this ball game, or he'll have another turnover the next time he touches it.
That's their second here in the opening 7.5 minutes. Casey Hill right now playing the point for Florida. Patrick Young, he likes that spot with a hook shot. That one comes out. Maimon will clear it ahead to Richardson.
That is his range, though. He's increased his range every year out to about 8 feet with that jump hook. As a freshman, he's around the 4-foot mark, and that's it.
Both teams have starters waiting at the scorer's table. I don't think they're going to get in until we have a TV timeout, however, as we're under 12 minutes. As I said, both these lineups look a little different right now. Good drive inside. Richardson.
Tennessee prepared for the down or the ice action on the ball screen, forcing Tennessee to drive the ball towards the baseline. Conzo Martin says, we're fine with that. We will take our guard and attack your big. Very well done.
Well, the first time these two teams played, Tennessee only got 41 points in the game. They got 16 right now with 11:20 to play. Young got that one. Here comes the pressure, but no problem again. Maimon will wait for Richardson. Three-pointer, good.
Yeah, the ball movement is terrific so far for Tennessee, getting exactly what they want. Setting the ball screen, getting the throwback, and then the right pass, not the extra pass for the open shot.
And Casey Hill's going to go to the free throw line after the timeout. But Derek Reese hit that last 3 to give Tennessee its biggest lead so far in the first half. Number 1 team in the country struggling a little bit in the opening moments of Game 1 of semifinal Saturday in Atlanta. All right, John, thanks. A surprising lead for Tennessee, up by 6 with 10:49 remaining in the first half.
Tennessee very well prepared. Look what Florida's doing. They are down in the action right now, not letting this ball come this direction. As a result, hold it for a second, guys. Now it's one-on-one with Patrick Young with Richardson. And Richardson stays low. Patrick Young moves his feet well, but just not quite quick enough to stay up with Richardson. Good design play by Tennessee. You're going to force this to go baseline. We're going to draw our guy back and attack your big.
And with that, they've gone on a 14-4 run. And Florida points in the paint. Today they're on the minus side of things.
Well, why are they -6 today, points in the paint? Because Tennessee defensively, Brad, they build a wall. They pressure the ball, and they build a wall behind the ball pressure. Therefore, very difficult to get stuff around the rim.
Tennessee, they started off cold. They were 2 for 7. But they've hit their last 6 shots. Almost a midway point of a fast-paced first half and a 5-point Tennessee lead.
That's the other thing that Maimon can do for you. As the 4-man, he can be the press breaker himself and bring it up against Yaget or whoever they put on him.
And he's been the press breaker virtually every time so far. Here's Stokes in the lane around Young. Maimon kept it alive and scored it.
I'm telling you, Tennessee shoots 61%, Brad, on offensive putbacks. 61%. Keep them off the glass.
Foul underneath as we check in with Shannon.
Well, Brad, Jimmy, I spoke with Scotty Wilbekin this morning, and I talked to him about some of the slow starts that this Florida team has experienced over this season. He could not explain why it happened, but he said the way that they pulled themselves out of it is they'll talk about it on the bench. They'll talk about the process, staying the course, and we have seen over and over again this season their ability to just kind of shake it off and move forward.
Good point. And a lot of that might hinge right now on Scotty Wilbekin being back in the lineup. He was on the bench when Tennessee went on a good majority of that run. And here he is with a kick out. Prather. Jumper's good.
Same thing on this end of the floor. Tennessee is down in the action on the side. Wilbekin reads it well, attacks the paint, and goes for the skip out. Scotty Wilbekin, to me, Brad, he owns it. He owns the game from the film session to the walkthrough to the pregame chalk talk to the game. Great point guards. They own the game, and Wilbekin owns the game.
Richardson got it down to Stokes, who threw a shoulder into Patrick Young. Not many people knock Patrick Young on his backside. That was a message sender.
It was. It was a true blow. There was no fake fall by Young. He took one right on top of the Gator logo.
30 for 30. Requiem for the Big East explores the meteoric rise of the Big East Conference, becoming one of the most successful college sports leagues in America, but then eventually fighting for survival in a new era. 30 for 30. Requiem for the Big East, presented by Infinity. That's coming up on Sunday night at 9 on ESPN. Some of the snips of that. It's going to be a great show.
Well, Barton did a good job of not letting Florida, Brad, force him into a speed dribble up the side. They get you on a speed dribble. That's when they really come at you. Barton had no part of it.
McCray, what a pass to Maimon, but he missed in close. Might have gotten a little too deep and lost how far he was under the basket. Three-pointer, Wilbekin, yes! He's 4 for 4. And as I said about Shannon's report, the complexity of the game changes when he's out there. McCray tried to duck a pass into Maimon. Tennessee turns it over.
Tennessee better slow this game down.
Prather!
Basket by Casey Prather. Timeout, Tennessee.
7-point lead evaporated to a deuce. 8:28 remaining. First half. #1 team in the country starting to show why they are. Gators on a 7-2 run, and they did it in a hurry, much like they did yesterday. They've cut the lead down to 2. And here's the Tennessee huddle as they come over with that timeout called by Conzo Martin. It's kind of like a, I got him, you take him, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, McCray and Barton are going at one another right now, trying to work the thing out. Here's what I like about that. You can always hear a good team, and you can always hear a bad team. Tennessee's a good team. You can hear them right now trying to fix the problem before they even get into the hands of Conzo Martin. This is what sparked it. Patrick Young just buried Jarnell Stokes in front of the rim, got his big backside in front of Stokes and cleared out the path.
That was payback for the time he hit the deck down on the other end.
Yes.
Watching number 4 and number 5 go at it today is going to be fun.
Your description was terrific. Message sent by Jarnell Stokes to Patrick Young.
Again, some two-man pressure in the backcourt. Almost got to the ball. Prather got a hand on it.
That Florida presses you the entire game, but they give you nothing. They give you nothing on the back end of the press. Disciplined pressure from 4 seniors is what Billy Donovan has to work with.
And by the time you get your offense set, there's 20 or less on the clock, and now there's 8 to shoot. More fadeaway, way off the mark. Patrick Young saves it on the baseline.
Before they get that first ball screen on you, then the first 3 or 4 seconds of the possession, the drag screen action. Billy Donovan uses the pro slot 45 pick and roll action. A lot of NBA tendencies in this Florida half-court offense.
They got Maimon on Wilbekin. He took the shot. He knew he had a mismatch in quickness, but that's the first shot he's missed.
Tennessee not afraid to switch out the 1 through 4. They don't want Stokes on the ball, but everyone else, they have pretty good confidence to switch out on.
And they're going to call it foul on Finney Smith, who made a pretty good play on the ball, but he got a hand in there and picked up his second personal. 7:13 remaining in the first half of Game 1 of semifinal Saturday from Atlanta. The SEC on ESPN. Scotty Wilbekin's got 10 points, but Florida trails by 2. Shannon will be up next with Billy D.
SEC. Kia Motors.
Billy Donovan spent most of that huddle with Shannon. The rest of the time was spent with Joe Lindsey and Doug Shows. And Florida got a bench warning. And now Billy, even with a smile on his face, is still coming out of that Gator huddle. And he wanted an explanation of how the rest of the officiating is going to go for the next 27 minutes, roughly speaking. Let's check in with Shannon talking with Billy.
Coach, 24 hours ago, you guys admitted that you came out in the game a little slow. How would you describe what you've seen out of you guys so far?
I think our guys are focused. They're playing hard. Obviously, Tennessee's good. They're playing hard, too. You know, we got down by 6 or 7 there and kind of got back into it. We had a chance to tie it. We had a couple turnovers there. But overall, I think it's a long way to go and just got to keep battling.
What was the key to getting back into this game?
Well, I thought we got some stops. We got hurt on some second chance points, which hurt us. When we subbed, that really hurt us because we had a 5 or 6 point lead. And guys come off the bench didn't do as well as they needed to. Hopefully, when they get back in there, they can do a better job. But, you know, we're going to battle and fight, and, you know, it's going to be a long game.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Part of being a coach of the year, and as good a coach as Billy is he spent that nice, calm time with Shannon, and the rest of the time, he was pretty much in the official's face. And all in all, he's still got a smile on his face.
Yeah, Joe Lindsey and Doug Shows handled it really well. They listened to Billy Donovan. He wasn't disrespectful in terms of the type of language that he was using. He was very strong getting his point across. And then Lindsey and Shows walked away from him. Billy Donovan came back at him one more time, and Joe said, I've given you a warning. That's enough. Billy goes back to coaching his team.
And now he's standing next to Pat Adams. And Pat's saying, I'll take care of those guys, Billy.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, this is a terrific officiating crew, Brad. They will listen to Billy Donovan. It will not influence one call that they make in this game. Not one call.
Under 7 minutes, Tennessee by 2. They've led by as many as 7. And that one tipped out of bounds by Florida.
It's hard.
13 on the shot clock.
Partner, it's hard to beat relentless. It's hard to beat relentless. And you watch Florida, even in their zone defense, they are relentless at staying in a stance and talking. Most teams across the country, when you go zone, the guy on the ball will be in a stance. The other 4 guys will be standing up, not the Florida Gators.
Tough spot to throw in from right in front of the opponent's bench in the corner. Got it into Stokes, though. Jarnell, double team, 7 on the shot clock. And he's fouled. Boy, that's not a good foul. He had nowhere to go with the basketball. And you get picks up his first foul.
Brad, you're not going to reach in on Jarnell Stokes. He's too strong and too powerful for a reach-in foul on this guy. Throw up a wall.
Florida does not have an offensive rebound yet. And we have 6:43 to go in the first half. And Stokes and Maimon are the reason, for the most part, that they're -8 in the paint, as Jarnell has his 5th point. 6'6", 260-pound junior out of Memphis.
Brad, you break down this guy's game. He's shooting over 60% on offensive putbacks and shooting 67% as a cutter. He has such great hands. He scores at a high rate on moving action as an offensive rebounder or as a cutter. Very unique for a guy that's built like that.
Yeah. Wilbekin just a touch pass down quickly to Patrick Young. And Young trying to work the paint for the hook shot. Foul's going to come before the shot. And it will be on Derek Reese, I believe. It is.
Foul charge to Derek Reese, his first personal foul. Team foul number 3 for Tennessee.
So Florida will have it out of bounds under their own basket. Frazier comes out. Frazier has yet to score today. The three-point, shouldn't just say three-point shooter, but when he gets hot, he's as good as anybody in the country at that. He sits. Devon Walker is out on the floor with Young, Yaget, Hill, and Scotty Wilbekin. So basically a couple of point guards there. Nice inbounds play to get it to Young for his 4th point.
Brad, it's a fist fight to catch the ball and then a foot fight to score on the block.
Martin all the way. Bounce pass to Stokes, who flushes it. Boy, that was great transition basketball right there by Tennessee.
Yeah, 6% body fat on Jarnell Stokes. He's as lively and has as much pop in his legs as he's had his entire career.
The rim down there is still scared. And going to have a foul.
I talked about scoring on the low block. It's a fist fight up top to get in catching position and then a foot fight to score. And Patrick Young won both. But then what do tough guys do? Because Stokes just got whipped at the other end, but he comes right back and runs with a passion and a fury and sends a message himself. Tough guys don't let one mistake become two, and Stokes is a very tough guy.
Wilbekin 3 off the inbounds off the front of the iron. He's missed his first 3-point shot of the day.
Talking to Jordan McRae before the ball game, I said, give me one key. Before I could ask the question, he said, Scotty Wilbekin. It's all about Scotty Wilbekin and what we do with him or can do with him in this game.
Those two are going at it, running the baseline. In this case, Wilbekin defensively on McRae. There's a double team on Stokes. Has to cross court it, and he threw it into row 2.
Florida can trap you in 3 different ways, Brad. This time they come with a monster. The monster action is the closest big coming over. And that's a trap the breath out of you and not foul type trap. They can monster you, they can back trap you off of a cutter, and they can get scraped down off the closest guy on the first bounce. And they are very good in all 3 areas.
Wilbekin now is going to run the baseline with Hill at the point. Walker in there. He's going to go straight up to the hoop. Airmailed it out of bounds. A little too anxious for the McDonald's All-American freshman who hasn't seen a lot of time. Played early yesterday in the win over Missouri. Out there right now to give Florida some minutes, but maybe a little too anxious to put the ball up.
That's not what he's in the game for.
No.
Interesting, I looked at Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan never made eye contact with him, though. He wants Walker to get confident as they head in this NCAA tournament.
Under 5 minutes in the half. McRae, that is a tough shot, and it's a beauty.
Over the long arms of Walker. I continue to talk about the wingspan that this cat plays with. Prototypical 2-guard waiting to happen in the NBA because of the shots that he can make around the glass.
Great elevation, knew what spot to put it on the window, way up high so nobody could touch it. And it was picture perfect. Now Yaget is fouled in the lane. I think it's going to be Richardson. 2 guys were there, but Richardson picks up his second. Watch this shot by McRae.
Well, he has so many good things that he does, but off of 1 or 2 bounces, the ability to take the ball away from the long arms of Chris Walker and get it up high on the glass. And this is a guy that's hard to guard because he can score from 24 feet and in as a 3-point shooter. He scores outside the offense, can break off and get his own. And a great example, he is great. He is great at the glass.
Prather wanting to drive, going to give it to Yaget. And again, Maiman comes out on Wilbekin. They want some long arms in front of that long-range shooter.
Yep.
Prather almost walked with it. Turned it over anyway.
Yeah, Prather had an open jump shot, but that's not who he is.
McCray. Wow. Through traffic that time. And we're going to have a foul quickly in the front court on Tennessee. It's going to be on Monty Moore, I think.
I think it's a T on Armani Moore.
I think you're right.
And maybe both ways.
Number 4, Armani Moore. And for Florida, number 24, Casey Prather.
You're right. It's a double foul. Prather and Armani Moore. Technicals. And we'll get a chance to look at that when we come back. We've got to take a timeout right now at 3:59 at Tennessee. Surprising the Florida Gators right now. 31-23.
ESPN College Basketball on ABC. Brought to you by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way.
All right, John, thanks. Just under 4 minutes remaining. And right now, Tennessee leading 31-23. Shannon talked with Conzo Martin during the break.
Coach, take me inside that huddle. What have some of the conversations between you and your players been like?
Just to keep battling, keep fighting, executing on both ends of the floor, carrying out our assignments on both ends of the floor. And we're doing a solid job.
Florida does not have an offensive rebound, and they have 5 turnovers. What have you done that's been so effective defensively?
Got to keep them off the glass. And we're one of the best, if not the best, defensive rebounding team in SEC. Got to keep those guys off the glass. Got to make them take tough shots and make tough plays.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Shannon Kwanzaa, thanks. Let's take you back, though, to the double technical. You're going to watch two guys get tangled up here. Prather gets tangled up with Armani Moore, and then Prather trying to trip him, and in the meantime Jordan McCray goes down to scores on the other end. Pat Adams, you see, frantically trying to get a whistle and the double technical called. He did. Doug Shaws just came over and talked to you, Jimmy. I think I know what he said, but go ahead.
Then it continued from that point forward after the knockdown by Jordan McCray on the other end, and when they continued to go at each other, Pat Adams said enough is enough. Double technical foul, resumption of play, and now the shot clock's not working. We got Armani Moore and Casey Prather. As you said, they went at each other on this possession. And then at the end of the possession coming back, Pat Adams said, I warned you, I've had enough. Boom, boom, double technical foul.
That's why the basket still counts on the other end. Had Pat called that technical in the backcourt the first time he saw it, McCray's basket would not have counted. But it was continuation of play until Pat can get down there and get between the two guys and call a double technical.
He warned them on the first nose to nose.
Right.
You're not going to listen to my warning. I'm going to have to stick you. A veteran crew. I'm telling you, Billy Donovan and Conzo can coach hard and communicate all they want to with this officiating crew. They are on top of this game as well they should be.
That's Pat Adams. That's Joe Lindsay. And Doug Shaws just whistled for play to begin. 3:35 remaining in the half.
Any coach in this league would take these 3 officials in this type of game. Late clock.
Wilbekin for 3. That one's short, too. He's missed his last couple of shots. Jordan McCray, an awkward landing on the rebound. And right now, Tennessee's got Florida on the ropes a little bit. Stokes kicks out McCray. Long 3 is too short. Frazier the rebound. I think is going to have an offensive foul as he sent McCray to the floor.
I talked about Jordan McCray's development as a defensive player. He can caboose shooters and bother them with a long wingspan, but this time they switch out on the ball screen and he has to go to work as a post defender. He does a good job of getting lower than you get. Gets frustrated, throws the elbow, and Joe Lindsay says we're going the other way.
And right now the officials are sending a message, I think. Let's keep it on the up and up, guys.
Yep.
You know each other well. You've played twice in the regular season. Florida won them both, one handily, one by single digits. Tennessee trying to return the favor, up by 8.
Tennessee continues to lay the wood in their screening action. They set the rules of the game early, and they have continued how they're playing.
Armani Moore try to go over Patrick Young. Ball comes out to Wilbekin. He'll take it against McCray, who blocked it. And now scramble for the loose ball and everybody on the deck. And it's a tie-up, and it's going to be Florida ball. Jordan McRae is fired up. Native of Georgia. Wilbekin, as Jimmy said earlier, giving away about 4 inches in height. And watch this. Wilbekin's going to take it to him, and McRae said, not on my dime.
I will say it again. It is hard to beat relentless effort. And both these clubs are bringing it in that area right now. And the passion and the leadership and the body language that Jordan McRae is playing with, I've said it before. Body language never whispers, it screams.
He was screaming.
Jordan McRae has terrific body language so far.
And a pretty good scream as well.
Absolutely.
Florida now. Frazier will inbound. Lobbing it into Yeget.
Tennessee goes body to body on their baseline out of bounds defense.
Matt Young turns on Stokes. Goes over him. Too hard off the glass. And it might be Yeget again, and that's trouble for him. That's 3.
Will Yeget his 3rd personal foul. Team foul number 9.
So Yeget's going to have to sit, and it's 1-1 walking the other way. Now coming up tomorrow, you've been waiting for it. Selection Sunday, 5:30. Sports Center provides wall-to-wall coverage of the brackets as they're announced. At 7, our experts will break it all down with 2 hours of bracketology. Who's in, whose bubble is burst, and who's poised to make a run to the Final Four. It's Selection Sunday on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN tomorrow. All starts at 5:30 Eastern.
Well, we know the #1 seeds. Florida, I believe, will be the overall #1 seed. Wichita State, Arizona, that 4th one now is up for discussion. Could very well be the winner of that Big Ten. Kansas has played their way out. I don't think Duke has a strong enough overall resume. Wisconsin and Michigan still in the mix.
Jerron Maimon has 7 points here in the first half.
2 of the great voices in the SEC on this floor right now. Jerron Maimon from Tennessee and Scotty Wilbekin from Florida. The guys just, they are attached to the voice of those 2 guys respectively.
Wilbekin better start to use his team's down 10. Frazier, that's a guy they'd like to get hot. He doesn't get a shot, though, because McRae fouled him before the move. And that'll be the first on Jordan McRae.
Foul turns to Jordan McRae, his 1st personal foul. Team foul number 7 for Tennessee. In the bonus now.
But Frazier averages less than 2 free throw attempts per game.
And he's an 85% free throw shooter.
So McRae, all you have to do is just run him off the 3-point line and force him to do something off the bounce. McRae lost his discipline just for a second, left his feet, and Frazier can't make him pay.
A 10-point advantage, Tennessee. Florida hasn't had any points in almost 5 minutes.
I don't know about you. I can see it in Tennessee's eyes and how they carry themselves. They think they're good enough to win this thing by double figures, if not more.
You're right.
You agree?
Especially with guys like Maimon inside, but that's a nice play by Devon Walker. Casey Hill going the other way and scoring.
The speed of the transition game of Florida goes to another level when Hill comes in. As good as Wilbekin is as the point guard, Hill is actually a faster and better transition point guard for Florida.
Florida trying to apply pressure again, and again, Tennessee handles it easily. Maimon cross-courts it. Here's a pull-up jumper by McRae. Jordan McRae's got 10.
The find by Jerron Maimon. Florida doesn't respect him as much as Stokes. They don't double-team him, allows Maimon to square up and get vision as a passer across the baseline.
There's a lot of orange in here, 2 different colors, but the Tennessee orange right now making some noise, and Scotty Wilbekin's tied up, and it's going back to Tennessee.
Tie ball, possession, Tennessee. And the Gators, number 23, Chris Walker.
Can you kill the will that Tennessee has been playing with over the last 5 or 6 ball games on the defensive end? Yes, they're dialed in on their scouting report. Yes, they're staying in a stance. They're blowing up screens. But it is the will that they bring to the floor right now defensively that is hard to kill.
Martin into the front court. There's about a 13-second difference on the game clock and the shot clock. And Tennessee a comfortable double-digit lead. Not sure I'd think about saying Florida would love to get it back to single digits before halftime. That's how well Tennessee's played. Might get worse for the Gators. Maiman, kick out, 5 to shoot. McCray working on Walker. Maiman had to put it up quickly. And shot clock violation. It hit the window, didn't hit the rim. So good defensive job there by Florida. Tennessee turns it over. Tennessee defense that Jimmy talked about earlier. Wow. Today, 25 points. By the way, halftime the last time these two teams played, Tennessee led by 1. They're going to lead for sure here by 10 or less. Wilbekin straight over Moore. Got it. Big shot for Florida just before the buzzer.
Best point guard in the country is Scotty Wilbekin. He answers the bell every single time. You can put him on the point. You can put him on the 2. You can slide him through the 3. Defensively, he will erase the problem. On the offensive end, you need to make a tough 2. He will. And to close out the half, the hands are down, and Wilbekin says, thank you very much.
Keep this one in mind, everybody. From double digits to 7 is a huge difference as they head to the locker room. 13 points for Wilbekin. But still, it's Tennessee right now, 35-28. Just about time for the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report. We're going to head back to the studio with John Saunders and Bruce Pearl. After this message and a word from our ABC stations, Tennessee so far in front of #1 Florida.
I was lost in the atmosphere. The hardest part is getting past the fear. So take my hand, we're getting out of here. And we're moving now to the other side. I will survive. And when we get out of this alive, we're gonna run down the mountain. Yeah, we keep it.
Back in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome, the SEC on ESPN, the Southeastern Conference basketball tournament, and the #4 seed trying to pull a surprise on not only the #1 seed, but the #1 team in the country. Tennessee leading Florida 35-28, just about set to start the second half. Welcome back to Atlanta, everybody. Brad Nessler and Jimmy Dykes. Shannon will be along in a minute. Partner, 7 times this year, Florida trailed at halftime. 2 of those times they lost. UConn and Wisconsin, their only 2 losses of the season. They're going to have to dig themselves out of a hole right here, too.
Well, if there's a team in the country that can do it, the trust factor I have with the Florida Gators is it because of those 4 really cool seniors. So they're not going to go away without a fist fight. Tennessee's happy to have a fist fight as well. Very important in this ball game. Florida has put the press on 14 times, and Tennessee has only turned it over twice. Why? Well, first of all, in the half court, Florida is up against a team in Tennessee that is being very strong, very physical, man-to-man type ball game. Again, they set the rules early in how we're going to play the game. We're going to drive this thing at the paint and score around the rim. They got 20 paint points. Tennessee does so far. Leading scorers McCray because of his length, and Scotty Wilbekin because he's the best point guard in college basketball.
And remember, Wilbekin hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer when it was a double-digit lead, 7 now, and you look down the line 20 minutes from now, or 20 minutes from now on the clock, and think how big that 3 may be. We'll track that. The largest deficit Florida had this season was 11 points. That was Wisconsin. They lost. Largest deficit they came back from was Auburn, down by 9. They won that one. Can they come back from 7 down here in the second half of semifinal Saturday? That's our question. We'll find out our answer in the next hour. And a steal by Tennessee to open up the second half. And Wilbekin takes it right back from Barton. And he's fouled by Maiman. Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, Brad, Billy Donovan told me that yesterday he felt like his veteran players didn't give them enough, and today he continues to think that his younger players are not giving enough. He said foul troubles hurt them, turnovers have hurt him, but overall when they move the ball, he feels like the offense is pretty good. Now, earlier today, Jarnell Stokes told me the last time they played Florida, they felt like Florida wanted it more. The next 20 minutes will prove who wants it more.
Good point. Tennessee lost that one 67-58, but it was a lot tighter than the first game. Prather opens up the scoring in the second half.
Brady had to fight for his spot because Tennessee did a good job of a short closeout, making him into a jump shooter where he had no part of it and still found his way to the rim.
Jordan McCray almost stepped on the sideline. Jarnell Stokes, big sweep and hook and missed it. And the rebound comes off to Florida. And Michael Frazier, who has yet to score, by the way. Patrick Young. Wow, what a move. A shoulder into Stokes and then goes left-hand baseline. That was nice.
And in the first half, Antonio Barton and Thompson played the 20 minutes at the point guard spot. They only had one turnover. Another big reason why Tennessee has the lead. Will they hold up in this second half against the relentless pressure of Florida?
We go back to the end of the first half. We mentioned it a minute ago. It's a 7-0 Florida run, and that's a three-point game. Stokes from just inside the foul line. Frazier another rebound. Let's see who got tangled up, though. Might be Finney-Smith and Maimon. It could be on Florida.
As you would expect, Scotty Wilbekin has triggered this quick start for Florida in the second half. I talked about what he does as a defensive player, playing with a great base and hot hands around that basketball. Barton got loose with it. Only the second turnover, though, out of that point guard spot for Tennessee in this ball game.
We thought that would be their weak link today,
Yes.
and they played very well at the point.
Yeah, but they're going to have to hold up there now with 18 to go.
That foul was on Finney-Smith, his third for the Gators. So he and you each have three. McCray, long jumper.
That even in Florida's zone defense, they're trapping that low block area. They always want to stay the aggressor.
Gators just got sloppy there. And an easy steal for Richardson. So Florida gives it right back to Tennessee. McCray wants to get it to Stokes, and Young is really doing a good job banging with him on the low block. Richardson slices inside. Great move.
And a good seal off by Jerron Maimon. I mean, Richardson got just enough of a crack to attack that low foot.
At some point, Florida's got to get Frazier a shot. They've got to get somebody else in the groove scoring, except just Wilbekin. There's a guy that can help the cause. Missed it. Young had it swatted out of there by Stokes.
That Florida is only a 48% field goal team on putbacks. That's not a high number. You're shooting less than 50% on offensive putbacks. That number needs to go up.
McCray through a double team. Walked with it. One too many steps for Jordan.
Well, Florida, again, they don't have a lot of length inside themselves. I mean, Patrick Young is only 6'8", and I think that's the reason why they struggle on offensive putbacks. They get on the offensive glass, but they're not converting at a high rate. Patrick Young is not really an above-the-rim guy, and Walker is too small and thin so far to be effective in that area as well.
Let's see how it goes now with Maimon on the bench for Tennessee and Young on the bench for Florida. That means Stokes is the power man out there, and Yaget's the only other guy with any size, and he's playing with 3 fouls.
Yeah, they're going to have to double-team Stokes early now because of just the massive power that he has on Florida.
Prather. Oh, nice spin. Sometimes you look at Casey Prather and you go, wow, why doesn't he do that all the time? Cross-court pass, dangerous, but McCray handles it. Lead back down to 3. And we're 4 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, and Barton continues to not be rattled. They had a pretty good hot trap on him, but he found the weak side of the floor with a skip pass.
Played better today than he did against Missouri. South Carolina, rather. And now in some traffic, they do turn it over. Prather, he's got Frazier with him. Frazier up, under, around, and in. Nice teamwork that time.
It's an accumulation of the pressure that Florida gets to you in the second half. You might be starting to see the beginning of it right now. Well, Konzo used a timeout because he knows his club is a turnover away from maybe kind of unravel, but we got the TV timeout coming up at the next dead ball.
That double-digit lead earlier is down to 1. And out of bounds to Florida. Here come the Gators. 15-12 to play. Gators open up the second half on an 8-2 run. Prather up on the window. And then even prettier, his dime to Frazier. 37-36. Florida's battle back to trail by only 1. 15-12 remaining. Tennessee had a 7-point lead at halftime. Jordan McCray, a Georgia native here in his home state, had this message for his teammates for the final 20 minutes.
Hey, yo, we got 20 minutes to give it all we got, man. Let's move out tomorrow. Let's move out right now. 20 minutes, everybody.
is down to 15. And their lead is down to 1.
Brett, I don't trust teams in that NCAA tournament that don't fight, and especially they don't fight at the guard spot defensively. Therefore, I do not trust Iowa. I do not trust Oklahoma. I don't trust North Carolina. They gave up 80 last night because they don't fight on the defensive end of the floor. I trust Florida. I trust Wichita State. I trust Virginia. I trust Louisville. I trust Arizona in that department as well. If you're not fighting by this time of the season, you're not going to flip a switch and start next week. These two teams today, again, it's hard to beat relentless effort and fight.
Florida has a chance to regain the lead for the first time since the first half. Frazier will try it. Short on a three. Yagett keeps it alive.
Billy Donovan trying to get Frazier going with a set play off the timeout.
Hill, Florida leads.
Florida leads, and the press is going to get hot.
Richardson, look out behind you.
Good voice by McCray to alert Richardson. Look out, Josh.
I thought maybe it was me that he heard.
Hey, maybe he heard you too. Were you talking early, loud, and constant? If not, you need to sit down right here beside me and we'll talk about it.
And Wilbekin comes up with a steal and then gets fouled by McCray, who couldn't get his balance and bumps him. Here's the Tennessee resume, brought to you by Allstate. You can go to ESPN.com and sign up for the tournament challenge.
Brett, I think they're safe with quality wins on a neutral floor against Xavier. A beatdown of Virginia that's going to have terrific shelf life in the eyes of the selection committee. Their win against Missouri last Saturday, they sent a message how they look right now in the eye test. There's a lot of people on that selection committee. I visited with a couple of them in the last month. They are really dialed in watching ball games and trusting what they see and trusting what they hear. You can tell by watching Tennessee, they look like a team that's going to be very dangerous as a 10 or 11 seed.
You've always talked about that quality win over Virginia. We understand Virginia's up by 5 on Pitt right now in the ACC tournament in Greensboro.
A win today by Tennessee, I think, bumps them up to possibly a 9 seed. A loss, they're going to probably go in still as an 11 seed.
Finney Smith tried the long jumper and missed it. Now let's see if Tennessee can play from behind, as we kiddingly said on the opening basket after they had not trailed for 5 games and 200 minutes. They're behind now. No longer are they. Mayman's got 10. And Brad, Tennessee back in front.
And Brad is a quick hitter before the double team on the low block by Florida could come into play.
Wilbekin way too strong on the three-pointer and off the mark as well. Stokes working against Yagett. Remember, Yagett's got 3 fouls. Stokes isn't going to challenge him, though. Brings it back out. McCray bumped off Wilbekin and missed the jumper. Casey Hill, just a blur going in and had it blocked. Good job by Armani Moore, I think the guy that got it. McCray the other way and the lay-in. Tennessee goes back in front by 3.
Yeah, a lot of things about Jordan McCray, Brad. Great balance in his game. Comes into today 129 attempts as a spot-up shooter. Terrific in transition. And when Tennessee got punched in the nose, they got themselves back up and started punching back.
Armani Moore, Kennesaw, Georgia native, knocks that one out of there. His team's up 3. Jordan McCray playing his final SEC tournament in his home state has given his team a 3-point lead. He's got 12. Jimmy used to be an NBA scout. He's got a little bit of everything, doesn't he?
Well, here's 5 key questions I used to always ask when I was evaluating a young man his senior year. Does he have an NBA position? Absolutely. He is a 2-guard waiting to happen. Can he defend that position? Yes, we've seen his long arms as a defender in this ballgame. Can he get his own offense? Yes, he can create his own shot. That's very important, projecting a guy at the next level. Does he have an NBA skill? He's wired to score, Brad. He can score from 24 feet and in, although the elbow is out a little bit too much. I still trust him from there. And does he get it? That's maybe the most important thing out of all 5 of those check marks. I wouldn't have said Jordan McCray gets it as a freshman or a sophomore. Now he does. This is a guy that can take hard coaching. He's a tougher guy from being under Conzo Martin. I think he has all the intangibles, and I love Jordan McCray at the next level because he answers yes to all 5 of those key questions in my evaluation.
I remember a couple of years ago, you and I are doing the games, and he would take a shot, and we'd look at each other and roll our eyes. I haven't rolled my eyes at him all year. Tough rebound by Jarnell Stokes. So again, Florida finds itself trailing, this time by 3. More the pick and roll of Maimon. Muscles it up. You get, luckily didn't get another foul, but Stokes is going to get the putback.
There he is, one of the top 4 or 5 offensive rebounders in college basketball. Another below-the-rim rebound by Jarnell Stokes because he absolutely whips you and wears you out with his lower body.
10th point, 5th rebound for Stokes. Hill, a lob underneath. Not a good pass.
Can't throw a lob low. You can't throw a lob low if you're Casey Hill.
Stokes faces you get. It's going to take it from the foul line. And I think Maimon pushed Young underneath. And Maimon will pick up his 3rd foul. Florida was down earlier. They came back to lead by 1. But now, Tennessee on another run. Can the #1 team and the senior-laden Gators come back from behind again? We'll find out after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Thanks, John. Tennessee and Florida, usually a pretty good football game, too. So we're playing here, but the championship week continued. Presented by Dick's Sporting Goods tonight. At 6, the American Championship. UConn takes on Louisville. At 9, it's Big 12 Championship. Baylor and Iowa State, both games on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. There's the brackets. And here, it's all 4 seeds that made it to semifinal Saturday. We're lucky enough to have that happen here in the Southeastern Conference. Brad Nessler, Jimmy Dykes, Shannon Spake, and our ESPN ABC crew in Atlanta, where 4th seed Tennessee leads not only top seed, but top ranked Florida by 5 with 11:39 to go. Remember, Florida was down 10. Scotty Wilbekin hit a 3 at the buzzer at halftime to cut it to 7. Then they went on a roll to open the second half to lead by 1. And now trailing again by 5. And Stokes is going to foul Patrick Young from behind. And Jarnell Stokes is trying to tell the officials, I was just trying to land. I wasn't trying to knock him into DeKalb County.
Patrick Young is so good in the sprint out ball screen action, and once he sets the screen, he sprints right back to the low block. And very hard for Stokes to handle. I expect for Florida to drag Jarnell Stokes into a lot of ball screens the remaining 11:20 of this game.
Going to give it right back to Young against Stokes. Got to get it out of there, and did.
How low and wide was Stokes defensively? Terrific.
Prather. Not his shot for the most part. Rebound comes off to Tennessee. 11 minutes to go.
And he hit first mentality in terms of checking off people. Tennessee in this ball game.
Well, what a battle between Young and Stokes again on the other end. Those two are going to have bruises tomorrow, no matter who wins. Double team on McCray. 9 on the shot clock.
This is where Tennessee can be a little bit shaky. Who can go get their own?
Martin's going to try to get it. Didn't touch anything. He tried to steal it after the miss, but Florida brings it the other way.
I want the ball in the hands of McCray late clock.
Exactly. So versatile. A lot of different things he can do. You've talked about it. Young flushes it. Stokes just let him go. On a blow by, Patrick Young has got 8.
One of Billy Donovan's concerns in the first half was his bench letting down. Well, Dorian Finney-Smith now active in this ball game as a presser.
Right to Wilbekin. Underneath and getting mugged by Armani Moore was Finney-Smith.
Brad, when Florida scores at the rim, when they score right at the rim around the basket, then the press gets really hot. And Dorian Finney-Smith sells the ball fake. Now the press is on hot. And they can light you up. You inbounds that basketball in the middle part of the floor, you're in a lot of trouble. And boy, Florida, they can put it on you in a hurry.
6th man of the year is at the free throw line. He has not scored yet today. Still hasn't. One flaw, if Florida has one, is how their big men shoot free throws.
Yeah. It's 67% as a team overall. I talked about it yesterday. Dorian Finney-Smith, Casey Hill, and Chris Walker would start for about half the teams that are going to be in that NCAA tournament. And they come off the bench for Florida.
Missed both. No harm done on the Tennessee turnover other than one more foul picked up And we're past the midway point of the second half.
Look at Florida, Fred, 1 out of 5 from the free throw line in this game.
That's not going to do it in the NCAA tournament or the SEC tournament for that matter. Double team on McCray, and Tennessee takes a timeout to get him out of trouble. 9:42 remaining at the Georgia Dome. Game 1 of 2 today, and Tennessee trying to shock #1 Florida. Tennessee to inbound. Maiman, McCray, Richardson, Stokes, and Darius Thompson, the freshman, to bring it in. Florida counters with Prather, Finney Smith, Young, Frazier, and Scotty Wilbekin on the floor. 6 on the shot clock for the Volunteers. McCray, baseline jumper. Rebound will come off to Frazier.
Yeah, Florida goes zone out of the timeout. Tennessee got a pretty good look, though.
Prather got it into Young in low. That time Maiman was a step too slow. Here comes the trap in the backcourt. Again, Maiman's buster to get it into the front court, but he got ripped from behind. Turnover Tennessee. Frazier for the lead. Got it!
Point basket by Michael Frazier. Timeout, Tennessee.
Brett, I've talked about the back pursuit that Florida puts on you in their press. It is relentless. Jerron Maiman makes a mistake. He's been good when the defense has all been in front of him, but from behind, he makes a critical error right here. Watch Jerron Maiman. 1, 2, 3, 4 dribbles on the same side of his body against the back pressure of Florida will not work. They get the back tap, and then Frazier gets loose in transition, and that's what I'm talking about. Florida can put it on you very quickly.
Quickly things can turn as we check in with Shannon.
A little bit of foreshadowing from Jarnell Stokes this morning when I spoke with him. He told me Michael Frazier is the X factor on this Florida Gators team. He said that this morning. He doesn't score a lot in this game, but when he does, it's big.
He's hit a couple of big ones. One in transition on an up and under reverse layup. And then that three-pointer that just put Florida back in front, averaging the last 4 games almost 19 a game, and great three-point shooting, including 11 against South Carolina. Today only 5 points, but none bigger than the last one. Florida in front by deuce. Here comes the trap on the freshman. Having a little trouble. Got it to Stokes.
Boy, good step through by Thompson to not panic. Kid has kind of grown up within this ball game at that point guard spot.
Stokes asking for it against Young. Draws a double team with Finney Smith. Got to get rid of it. Richardson for the lead. Short on a 3.
Ford continuing to not let Jarnell Stokes do anything on the low block. Now they're coming with an instant monster trap with a basketball, not letting him work.
Finney Smith's triple is too long.
Now what's Conzo Martin going to do, Brad? He knows that the heat is on Jarnell Stokes on any low block touch. Does he move him to the elbow, move him to the mid post? It's hard to trap when Jarnell Stokes starts getting touches around the elbow, and there's what Conzo Martin does with him.
Brought him out on top and sets a pick for McCray. McCray wanted to get it back to him and couldn't. And congestion inside and a foul. No, it's going to be a 3-second violation. .751 remaining. Top-ranked Florida by 2. Ours is even closer, John, as our second game this afternoon. Kentucky, the number 2 seed. Georgia, the number 3 seed. Georgia on their home turf, about an hour away from their own campus. They'll come into the Georgia Dome and they'll play about 25 minutes after we're done with game 1. And right now we've got a dandy of a game 1. Florida leading Tennessee 45-43. A 10-point lead for Tennessee in the first half. A 7-point lead at halftime. Florida regained the lead once. Tennessee took it back to lead by 5. And now we seesaw back with Florida up by 2.
Interesting, Florida has got their full court press set 20 times in this game. 20 times Billy Donovan's had his press set. Tennessee's only turned it over 4 times against those 20 full court pressure situations. That's a very good number for Konzo to work with. Watch out.
Lob was a little too high for Prather.
Foul charge to Will again.
And Yaget finally picked up his 4th foul, trying to battle for that miss. He's been playing with 3 fouls since about midway through the first half.
Brad, that's another reason why Florida is aggressive at trapping the ball off the block. They don't have the depth on their front line to hold up with foul trouble, so they trap the ball out of there to allow you to not go one-on-one and get them even more foul trouble.
Wilbekin almost came up with a steal on Jordan McRae. Stokes now is working against Finney Smith, and that's a little bit of a size mismatch. McRae can't shake Wilbekin. 8 on the shot clock. He's going to go over everybody. Rimmed it out. Mayman keeps it alive, and a new clock for the Volunteers.
Mayman is so good at pushing off without pushing off.
Richardson wide open. Knew from the start it wasn't going to go. Stokes was going to go up and slam it, and now Florida ties him up. It's going to still be Tennessee ball, but it changes the possession arrow, and it saved a basket.
Or the quick hands of Jarnell Stokes and the quick hands of Scotty Wilbekin. And one guy weighs 260, and the other guy weighs
maybe $160.
Yeah, 180 pounds at the most. But watch this. Mayman again, keeping the ball alive, and then the Velcro's paws of Jarnell Stokes, but Scotty Wilbekin comes in, and you talk about a terrific dig down. Look how low Scotty Wilbekin gets in order to interfere with that basketball. Again, another play made by Wilbekin because he has a terrifically strong base at the key points of the game.
Jerron Mayman, Jimmy, during that break went to the bench, and he's kind of playing with his knee. Remember, knee surgery kept him out all of last year, and he was the first one to hit the deck in the initial pileup that looked like turn 3 of a NASCAR race. He's over there kind of rubbing it, but I think he's okay.
He will kind of drag that leg around in warm-ups at times, but again, you're trying to cut the heart of a kid that has a stronger will that we have.
Martin will bring it on top with 6:45 to go.
So Konzo Martin now moving Jarnell Stokes off that low block, trying to get him move more of a score off of action.
Stokes double teamed again immediately. Now McRae. Good defense by Florida. Tennessee's got to come back on top for one more reset. Richardson had it swiped by Frazier. And Frazier will take it in himself. Nope, they're going to wave it off.
The effort of Jarnell Stokes, Brad, because he was on the low block when the turnover occurred. And what did Jarnell Stokes do in full sprint mode to get his feet set? It was a nice rip by Frazier. And Stokes is behind the play at this point. Look at Jarnell Stokes. But again, 6% body fat, floods the floor to the front of the rim to protect it. Very well done. I don't like Stokes on that low block right now. He's more of a cutter and a score off of action, and that's what Tennessee needs to get him involved in.
McRae way off the mark on the jumper, trying to create something, trying to tie it, and couldn't. Still Florida by 2, and we're under 6 to play. Wilbekin thought about getting it into Young, I think. Cross-courted instead to Finney Smith. Kicked out of bounds by Armani Moore.
Sometimes, partner, you just have to compete and get it done. And I think that's what it's going to boil down to with 5:35 to go. There are no secrets. There are no special plays right now that any coach can go to. What 5 guys can you put on the floor, your most competitive dudes, to try to close this thing out?
Gut check in both directions. Young. Prather got tangled up on the inside. I think he was just trying to pass it out of there. Nonetheless, he drew the foul. And it's on Richardson.
Foul in charge to Josh Richardson, his 3rd personal foul. Team foul number 6 for Tennessee.
Tennessee 54% in the first half. And Florida started to clamp down, and it's dropped more than in half. Same with their points in the paint and almost double in their turnovers.
What did Florida do yesterday, Brad, when they had a problem in the first half guarding the basketball, and they fixed it in the second half? Same thing today. Tennessee was driving that ball at the paint, and Florida has fixed the problem within the game. And I talked about it yesterday, and I firmly believe it. Great teams fix the problem right now. They don't wait to watch the film or the next day walk through the next practice. They can fix the problem within the game, and normally that starts with a point guard that can fix it for you.
Florida's problem right now, they've hit one free throw all day. Still, one free throw all day. Tennessee hasn't had any points in 7 minutes.
Florida's so good in the second half, their last two ball games, plus 24 and plus 23. A sign of a mature team that you have to put them away. You may have to put them away twice within the same game.
Stokes muscles inside. They call a foul. I'm not sure that wasn't ball, but the foul they're going to call on Young.
Brett, that's what I've been calling for Jarnell Stokes. Make him a score off of action. Don't throw it to him on the low block, because they're trapping the life out of him on the catch. Put him at the elbow, move him around on the floor, and let his quicker-than-you-think body start to make some punishing drives against Florida.
And was contact there by Young. Good call. And Stokes hits the first as we check in with Shannon.
Brad, confident and just hard-fighting team. That is exactly how Jarnell Stokes described the end of this regular season for this Tennessee team. He told me even he has been getting emotional. He knows that the season is coming to an end. There's a lot of veterans on this team, and they are just playing as one. It's really all starting to fit together.
And his free throws fit together twice, and we're tied for the first time in the second half. And a whistle down low. And Jerron Mayman is called for the foul, and a technical on top of it. Whatever he said to Pat Adams didn't go over very well. Apparently through an elbow.
Jerron Mayman makes a costly mistake. He continues to plead his case. Pat Adams gives him an explanation. Jarnell Stokes says something else or gives him a look. Pat Adams almost ate his whistle trying to call the tee.
He's gone, Jimmy.
That's huge. Well,
he called a foul and a technical. That should be it, right?
Yes, regardless of what, I think Jerron Mayman had a good point. He's entitled to his spot on the floor. Now, I'm not sure the Florida player didn't initiate the contact, but regardless, he's too important to his ball club to get caught up with a tee. And that was just, again, two big bodies. Young threw a little bit of a shot. Mayman threw a little bit of shot at the same time. But Jerron Mayman, as an older player, you trust his voice. You trust all the qualities about him. He lost his discipline at a key time for Tennessee.
Meanwhile, the technicals. Finally, Florida hit some free throws, courtesy of Michael Frazier with the technical shots. Now it's Patrick Young with the initial foul on Mayman. And Jerron's gone with 10 points. And 8 rebounds.
As a big, big blow to Tennessee's chances in this ball game.
Another free throw finally drops. And now Florida's hit 3 straight to lead by 3.
Very physical ball game.
I feel bad, actually, for Jerron Mayman if this is the last time he's playing in the SEC tournament by fouling out with a technical, but that could very well be the case because Patrick Young has just put Florida out by 4.
Brad, it's been a fight, and look at Florida defensively, what they're doing. They're defending without fouling. Only 14 fouls on the Gators.
McCray took it in. Stokes trying to put it back up there, and he's fouled. Going to be on Finney Smith, and that'll be his 4th.
Brett, I saw this Tennessee ball club go blow for blow, punch for punch with the other #1 seed that we know for sure in Wichita State back in the middle of December. And now they're doing the same thing with what I think is going to be the overall #1 seed. You don't want any part of Tennessee, I'm telling you, in the NCAA tournament as an 11 seed, because that's about where they're going to end up being slaughtered.
Stokes, after hitting 4 straight, misses that one. This is Florida's biggest lead, matching its biggest lead of the game, in fact. Stokes just cut into that by 1. 13 for Jarnell. 4:20 to go.
I said Scotty Wilbekin owns the game from the film to the final product. Right now with 4:15, your point guard has to own the moment, and I trust Wilbekin as much as any guard out there.
His 3-pointer at the buzzer in the first half is the difference in the game right now. Young, left hand on the baseline, good-looking move, couldn't get it, and then there's a push underneath. It's going to be on Finney-Smith again, and he's gone. So the second player has fouled out of the game. He leaves with no points. 6th man of the year in the SEC is gone as well.
And Florida's leading rebounder takes a seat. On the season, Dorian Finney-Smith, when he checks in, that's another thing that he does. He really gets on that backboard. So Jerron Mayman, a rebounding machine for Tennessee, sits, and now Dorian Finney-Smith as well.
Keep this in mind, Jimmy. Will Yagetz coming back on the floor as Finney-Smith sits. He's playing with 4. With 4 to play.
Probably 23 or 24 times now in this game, Billy Donovan's got his full court press set, and only 4 turnovers for Tennessee. If you told Cuonzo Martin before the game that would be the ratio, he said, I'll take it right now.
Absolutely. Under 4 minutes. McCray trying to work on Wilbekin.
Brad, that's best on best is what that is. That's best on best. Who can win this battle?
8 to shoot. He picks up his dribble, and they'll bring it out to Richardson. And now somebody's going to have to put it up. Richardson on a runner. Didn't even get near the basket. Yagetz will handle it and get it to Wilbekin again.
Richardson had McCray breaking down in front of Tennessee's bench wide open.
Florida takes a timeout.
Brad, Richardson drove the ball with his head down instead of his eyes up. McCray was available for a late clock shot.
Florida leading by 3. 3:20 remaining. What a game it's been. Let's take a look at the latest dish on the SEC tournament, brought to you by the Dish Network. As you look at Joe Lunardi's bracketology, the headlines today, you look at it, Jimmy, with a win, out a win. NC State pulled off a big one yesterday.
Yep. I believe Tulsa locked it up. If I just kind of was trying to scroll through things earlier today, I think they won the ball game. Scotty Wilbekin, Brad, all the things that he does. He's scoring right at 1 point per play, which is an excellent rating. As a pick-and-roll handler, 104 plays coming in. He's shooting 51% as an adjusted field goal percentage guy because of his ability to make a pull-up 3 like he did late in the first half. And he only turns it over 14% of the time as a pick-and-roll handler. So to close out a ball game, Billy Donovan knows he has as trustworthy of a pick-and-roll handling point guard that we have in the college game. And Cuonzo Martin now goes to his 1-3-1 to stay away from that pick-and-roll action that Florida can throw at you.
Wilbekin hasn't scored in the second half. Missed a 3 there. Had a pretty good look. And we've got 3 minutes to play. And right now, this one feels to me, Jimmy, like a tug-of-war with about 1,000 pounds on each side. And who's going to let that cord go across the midpoint of the sand?
Cannot flinch, cannot give in. You have to fight for everything you get in this ball game.
McCray, triple. Got it!
Yeah, well done by Jarnell Stokes. The adjustment by Cuonzo Martin to take Stokes, Brad, off the low block, put him at the mid-post of the elbow. Now he's becoming effective as a driver and as a passer.
Another tie at 49. 2.5 to play. McCray with 15 and a big 3-pointer, his first triple of the day. Patrick Young straight up with a left hand without putting it on the floor. And Florida back in front.
He was an all left shoulder, right pawed jump hook guy until 2 years ago, but we've watched him over the years work with a medicine ball before practice and before games. Now he has both shoulders that he can go to.
It's funny, there's a buzz in here right now because this has been such a good game, and there's a lot of Kentucky fans in here, and they're just cheering because they like good basketball. And a steal by Florida.
Stokes got a little careless. He got the ball, Brad, outside of his shoulder area and exposed the ball to a second defender coming in.
It's the 10th turnover of the second half. by Tennessee.
There's the ball screen I talked about with Wilbekin. He's so good off of it.
He knew who to leave it to, and that was Frazier. And Frazier trying to take it inside, and it's swatted down by McCray. And now McCray the other way. He lost the handle. Another Tennessee turnover. Prather, open floor. And wait a minute. He's grabbed by the waist. There's going to be a regular foul on Antonio Barton on the breakaway. Florida can't seem to break away from Tennessee. They do lead by 2, trying to win their 25th straight game. Tennessee's trying to spoil the Gator party. 1:21 to go.
Now to the other side.
ESPN College Basketball on ABC. Brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And BMW, we only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
2-point game at the Georgia Dome. Kimmel's back from Austin for a great week. New shows featuring Scandals, Tony Goldwyn, Modern Families, Ty Burrell, Ashley Judd, the biggest Kentucky fan in the world, Howie Mandel, and on Monday, Uma Thurman, Jimmy Kimmel Live all next week, 11:30, 10:30 Central Time on ABC. Let's take you back to the foul.
But it's a 2-point game that could swell now because this is a flagrant 1 foul. When I saw it live, it caught my eye. They made a common foul call, but there's no play on the basketball. That's a wraparound by Barton at a bad time. So lack of discipline by Barton with a flagrant 1, a lack of discipline by Maiman when he wouldn't walk away from Pat Adams, and maybe these are the 2 plays that cost Tennessee from sliding into the championship. 1:21 to go. It's 2 free throws for Florida and the basketball.
Casey Prather has missed his 2 previous attempts from the foul line.
You know what, though? I trust any 4 of those Florida seniors on the free throw strike. Even Young. I know the dude doesn't shoot free throws well. But tough guys right now trying to close out a game is what you want.
Joe Lindsay coming on to make sure that we're good on the call. Pat Adams already straightened it out with Jimmy. Thanks, guys, for the help. Casey Prather, 6'6" senior out of Jackson, Tennessee. Ironically enough, playing against his home state, and hits the free throw.
He's been there 157 times on the season, coming in more than any other Gator, so you know he's confident standing there in front of 20,000 all by himself.
Wow, was he ever. 2 huge free throws.
I love tough guys on the free throw stripe to close out ball games if I'm coaching. I'll take a 48% free throw shooter if he's tough over a 75% free throw shooter if he's not.
Almost as importantly,
that's a flagrant 1.
And this one's on Wilbekin.
They may go look at this now.
Is that on Wilbekin or Young?
Wilbekin. He took a legit shot to the chops. Did Bart. Watch Wilbekin. Comes through. Oh, no. That's going to be. They've made the call. Yeah, there's contact.
Well, he hit the end of his nose, maybe.
The first elbow came through, and it clipped him.
I think it might be best supporting actor, but that's just me.
They're going to look at this close. Does that right? Man, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. That's this is why it's very important for them to be able to go to the monitor right now, Brad. They made the call on the floor of a foul. So now they go to the monitor and they have options. They can take the foul away. That's new this year. It could be a flagrant 2, a flagrant 1, a common foul, or no foul. You can't go to the monitor and call a foul, but you can actually go over there and take one away.
Good point. That's the key ingredient right here, I think. So right now it's Joe Lindsay and Doug Shows that are in there with the monitor. And they're seeing what you're seeing at home, folks. Forward. Just so you know.
Where his head rocks back.
Here's a different angle.
That angle looks like he clipped him. And if it is best supporting actor, and he does a great job because boom. If that's the contact occurring, that's where it is. eyes are shut and Barton drops. I don't know. I don't know if there's enough there to overturn it one way or the other, to be honest with you. We've looked at it 7 or 8 times like the officials have.
I'm going to zoom it in a little bit. Here comes Wilbekin trying to get out of the way.
It is a crucial call right now for Doug Shows and Pat Adams and Joe Lindsay. Only 2 guys can be at the monitor at the same time. And I believe they've already rotated through over there.
They didn't have replay on the phantom punch of Cassius Clay, then later Muhammad Ali against Sonny Liston. But we have it. A lot of people didn't see that punch at all. They realize that.
And, you know, Barton is... He's climbed right up into Wilbekin.
Well, we not only have our officials that are working the game, but our alternate official. We got everybody over there having as close a look as you're getting. Now, if you're home watching or you're somewhere in your favorite watering hole watching, you're seeing this. They're not showing it on the Jumbotron here inside the Georgia Dome.
Let me ask you this. If you call the first foul, which I think Barton maybe committed the first foul when he came up and got the guarding position and put the hand on him, you call the first foul, maybe the second foul is not there. That's a very difficult one for them to see off the monitor and know 100% sure what they're looking at. They've looked at all the angles. You know, do they read the body language of Barton after the play? Just there's so many dynamics that the officials now have to take into consideration on what will be a huge, huge call in this ball game.
Doug Shows, Joe Lindsay, Pat Adams. They've had their stay at the monitor. Now it's just a final conversation between them. Offensive foul, and I think that's going to be it, don't you?
I think that's what it is. Brad, I just don't think they could. I just don't think they could guarantee the contact with Wilbekin on the nose of Barton. They called a common foul to start with. They didn't see anything over there that said we absolutely have to change it, so they go with a common foul.
I think that's good enough for me. Will Magette almost comes up with a steal in the corner.
Maybe that says something right there. The response of Barton. Regardless, it's 53-49. Tennessee needs a basket.
And there is 1 minute to play. Moore, short on a 3. Magette comes right to him on the baseline.
It's not the shot that Tennessee wanted or needed, Brad, from Armani Moore.
Scotty Wilbekin running the show here. There's about a 20-second difference in the shot clock and the game clock. Top-ranked team in the country. Leads by 4. Trying to advance to the championship tomorrow on ESPN. Trying to win their 25th straight game to go to 31-2. Wilbekin has a look at the clock, the shot clock. Gets it to Frazier. Back to Wilbekin. Here he comes. Trying to put it up and in. It's short. Tennessee had a hand on it and lost it out of bounds. That might be their last chance. They're going to have to foul now, you would think.
Absolutely. Going to have to foul and make it a 2-possession game. And boy, the great hands of Jarnell Stokes. It wasn't a hand problem. It just goes right between his legs, and he can't get a touch of the basketball, because if he touches it, he keeps control of it. And they will go to the monitor to make sure that they have who the ball went off of. The last 2 minutes of regulation, now the last 2 minutes of all overtime period.
It looked like Jarnell just grazed it with his right hand right about there and sent it between his legs. But again, though.
Yeah, who sent it between his legs is the issue. Is it Magette?
It slipped through Magette's hands. Whether Jarnell got his right hand on it or not is the question.
Yeah, initially, because he doesn't touch the basketball. Stokes doesn't from this point forward. And misses his rear end, which is not easy to do, and then he doesn't get a paw on it. But who sent the ball that direction? And
they're going to go with the call they had. I think it's the right call.
I think you have to.
Jarnell just grazed it, and Then I tried to think about saving it and decided I'm going to try to pull an acting job here too, because I'm not sure if I touched it or not. That's just a bang bang play. He did what he could to get his hands on it. And now they're going to have to foul Florida with 20 seconds left.
Try to get a steal right now. Try to get a steal on the inbound.
And they almost did. Very close for Barton.
Brad, now look where the ball is going to be moved over even deeper into the corner. Come on over, slide on over. Prather doesn't want to give up the spot, but he's going to have to.
And Billy Donovan's going to take a timeout. This wasn't the greatest inbounds pass in the world, that's for sure. You got to be very careful about who you have handling it down there, whether you have a great inbound passer or not. In that case, Prather's probably done that a lot this year, and he tried to force it to get it to Wilbekin, I think because they know Scotty Wilbekin's the guy who's going to knock down the free throws if he gets fouled.
Right. Again, you close out a ball game, I do, with your 5 most competitive dudes that you have on the floor. And Wilbekin is that. He's going to fight for his spot and go get his hands on the basketball. But now you've got a deep corner position that is a very, very dangerous spot to inbounds the ball. Expect Tennessee to cover up everything with their length. If they can't get the initial steal, they're coming quickly with the harm, and still it's just a 2-possession game.
2-possession game. There's some keys to the game, too, also, that involve technicals that kind of turn things. First, Jerron Mayman bumped Patrick Young. Didn't like the throw in the shoulder call. Told Pat Adams that, and Pat Adams teed him up. That's not only a personal foul, but a technical, and that sent him to the bench, and that took away a big part of the inside game for Tennessee. Now they do get it to Wilbekin. 15. Barton's going to have to foul him, and finally does with 14.9.
Really good play by Billy Donovan. He posted Patrick Young up at the elbow. That was the pressure release, because Patrick Young just sealed his guy off like he's calling for a lob play around the rim, but really all he's doing is calling for a lob play to inbounds the basketball, and then he quickly gets it to Wilbekin to close it out.
And this is a guy that's been money from the free throw line in second halves of games and final seconds of games this year for Florida, and it continues. That's his first point of the second half. That might be good enough right there. Two-possession game, no matter if he hits this one or not. And he doesn't. So Tennessee's got to hurry. Barton, a little too slow. Got to get it going. He'll take a long jumper. Short. Young with a rebound. Florida will win. 2 more seconds remaining. But they will go to 31-2. And the dream for Jordan McRae in Tennessee of pulling off an upset is about gone.
And as well as Tennessee played, Brad, you're not going to take down the best team in the country on a neutral floor if you lose your discipline 2 or 3 times in a game. And Barton lost it on a breakaway with a flagrant 1 wrap-up. Mayman lost it. They competed their guts out, which you have to do when you take on a team like Florida. But again, 4 cool seniors, Young, Prather, you get, and Wilbekin are going to find themselves in the SEC Finals.
And Pat Young calmly knocks down the free throw. 6-point game. Wildcats of Kentucky itching to get out there. So are the Georgia Bulldogs right behind them in the tunnel. Young got them both. The senior drains 2 that will end it. Florida has come back from its largest deficit of the year to win. Trailed by 7 at halftime. They come back to win by 7 in the semifinal. And they go on to the championship. Final score, Florida 56, Tennessee 49. Gators are 31-2. Their 25th straight win sends them to tomorrow's 3:15 championship final on ESPN against either number 2 seed Kentucky or the home team number 3 Georgia. That one's coming up in about 25 minutes on ABC. That's number 446 wins for Billy Donovan. And it was a tough one. And Scotty Wilbekin was the hero of late in the first half and some free throws at the end. He's with Shannon.
Getting a little love from the Gators here. Scotty Wilbekin, you guys were down 10 points at one point in this game. Overcame the largest deficit this season. How are you guys able to do it?
Just by doing the same things we've done all year. Sticking to the process, staying together, and fighting through whatever adversity comes our way.
The offensive foul on Antonio Barton. Did you make contact with him?
I nicked him a little bit. He sold it, but I nicked him a little bit.
And moving forward, what do you want to take from this game as you guys move forward?
I think we got to do a better job in the first half. Yesterday and today, we haven't come out the way we need to, and it could come back to bite us if we don't take care of it.
Thank you, Scotty.
Thank you.
Guys?
Florida ended the game, Brad, on an 11-4 run after Maimon departed with 4:39 to go. That was a huge part of this ball game.
Fouled him out of the game, took away an inside presence, and another senior from Tennessee. And the seniors for Florida took over. They come back from behind to win. The process, Scotty Wilbekin says, the process is to keep on winning. They've won 25 in a row. SEC basketball tournament continues in 25 minutes with the other semifinal. But first, John Saunders and Bruce Pearl in our New York studio.